Hang on a minute. Don't you think we're being a little overly dramatic with this? Cut the audio. And let's fade the video out. Let's try this. That's better. Well, we're here in the hills of Golden, Colorado with our 1965 Dodge Coronet 440. Now, this car wasn't always in Colorado. It actually started in a small town about 600 or 700 miles from here. The owner came out here in the late 60s, but didn't get this car until the mid-90s. There's a little story behind this car.
It took the owner more than 2 years doing the underside and outside of this car, getting cement dust out of it. This car was actually in a little town called Humboldt, Kansas for a very long time, and there was a big cement factory there. That's what drove the town. That cement dust got inside every car. This one sat outside for many, many years, and it caked on everywhere. Did everything by hand with sandpaper and clay bars on the paint and wire brushes and anything you could think of.
Now, it's obvious that a lot of work went into restoring this B-bodied Mopar, but the sound it makes, the lowered suspension, and the American racing wheels tell you that you're no longer in Grandma's four-door, even if it is beige. But there was one thing that not even the shade of the Coors Brewery could hide. There was something missing from this car.
Now we're having to drive with the windows down because this car has no air conditioning. It did come from the factory that way, but there's no air conditioning on it now. Apparently when the owner was restoring it, the air conditioner was frozen up and decided not to put one back on when he rebuilt the engine.
Now, I wish we could have taken these interior shots outside so you could really get a feel for what they look like. But unfortunately, this car doesn't get to see rain, and some weather moved in and we weren't able to do that. But just look at it. This is what a car with 40,000 original miles looks like. That must mean the engine's nice, huh? Let's check that out. Under the hood, we find a 318 cubic inch V8. This one has custom TTI headers and full exhaust coming off the back. And well, that intake manifold isn't exactly stock either. Come to think of it, neither are those valve covers. The 650 CFM Edelbrock carburetor's feeding this bad boy, getting about 300 horsepower out of it. What does that all mean? Well, just for your pleasure, we took this little sound bite and we think you're gonna like it. Okay, maybe it wasn't just for your pleasure. Now I know what you're thinking. 300 horsepower, that's not very much, but consider that this engine only output 215 from the factory in 1965. So some minor upgrades and a little bit of an overhaul made a huge difference. But more than anything, it just runs smooth. It's a great cruiser. And there's a lot of things that I enjoyed about driving this Coronet. One, it's extremely easy to drive. even with a small steering wheel. Number 2 is that it's unusual. You don't see very many Dodge Coronets, especially 4-door Dodge Coronets, arriving at car shows. But third is that this car has been in the same family since it was first purchased. They still have the original bill of sale and the window sticker. In fact, when I called the owner to ask him if we could do this shoot and try to convince him to put a bunch of cameras and microphones all over his car, I was pretty sure he was going to say no. You see, that's how special this car is to this family. When we pulled in for gas in downtown Golden, this became even more apparent. You see, this guy is the owner. And while we were stopped, he popped the trunk, pulled a rag out of a box labeled Dodge, and began to wipe down the car. This proved to us that this car does, in fact, never see rain.